at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look now and take some time for hemp. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, right now it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking time for hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening to the broadcast at Time for Hemp all around the world at timeforhemp.com, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, and every place on the internet where people like to get together and share knowledge about how important it is to end prohibition. Every Monday on the big broadcast is Healthy Mondays with Lynn, Mathre, and Byrne from Patients at a Time. And let's get focused on the healthy body and the healthy mind that's created by using the medical marijuana plant in such a healthy way with our joint hosts, Lynn, Mathre, and Byrne. And one of their joint friends is someone I am lucky enough to have met once and have always enjoyed his work, his writings, and anytime he's on TV, I make it a point to watch him, Dr. Andrew Weil. Lynn and I'll let you do the proper introductions. Dr. Andrew Weil, it's quite an honor to have you on my big broadcast.
Thank you.
Well, I agree with you, Casper, and I thank you very much, Andy, for coming on board.
Yep.
I can't imagine that there's any one of our 2.5 million listeners out there that doesn't know the name, but Dr. Weil is a very well-known, prolific author, many books, just a few of them here, From Chocolate to Morphine, The Natural Mind, Spontaneous Healing, Spontaneous Happiness. I'm going to say that Dr. Weil, I hope I use the right term here, Andy, but you are the founder of the University of Arizona's Center for Integrative Medicine.
That's correct.
Good. I'm glad I did that right. And integrative medicine, I think that would be a way to start here. A lot of our listeners might not know what that means. Could tell us all.
Well, first of all, it's the way of the future. I think the short definition is that it's the intelligent combination of conventional and alternative medicine. But really, it's much more than that. It's a new system of medicine that focuses on the body's innate capacity for healing, that looks at patients as more than just physical bodies, that considers all aspects of lifestyle and understanding health and illness, that places great emphasis on the practitioner-patient relationship, and uses all available therapies to manage disease and promote health as long as they don't cause harm.
Why not more integrative medicine centers in more medical centers around the country?
Well, it's coming. There's a group called the Consortium of Academic Health Centers for Integrative Medicine, and more than a third of the nation's medical schools have joined that.
Oh.
There are many textbooks of integrative medicine. In many, there are courses in integrative medicine taught at many schools. Our center has graduated over 1,000 physicians from intensive fellowship training, and they're in practice in almost all states now. We operate an integrative medicine clinic in Phoenix. We have a very robust research department. I mean, it is coming, and it's coming not just because of patient demand, but because of economic necessity. As you know, our healthcare system is in tatters, and it's going to get worse. And integrative medicine really offers the promise of reducing healthcare costs by shifting the emphasis to health promotion and prevention, and by bringing into the mainstream treatments that aren't dependent on expensive technology, including pharmaceutical drugs.
Well, that's quite a growth. I really didn't know. You must be very proud of that accomplishment, Doctor. I would be. We, of course, we've only got a few minutes here with you today, but how do we integrate cannabis into our medical system, our medical program. I've been told that there are 157 medical schools in the United States. Doctor, part of the faculty, to study on all this, and what he found was that there was no cannabis courses or courses on the endocannabinoid system in any medical school. I would assume medicine like that.
It's part of a larger problem that there is really no teaching on botanicals and natural products. That's something we're trying to remedy. In our training programs, we have a very strong curriculum in botanical medicine, and we include information on medical marijuana. So, we are trying to reach physicians and allied health professionals with that. That's gradually coming, but it's part of a long-standing neglect of this area in conventional medicine.
Yeah, I would think the public probably is a big push, too, for botanicals. More and more people seem to recognize that, natural medicine is helpful. I think more and more some of the people seeing that just some of the long-term, the damage caused by some of the pharmaceuticals with short-term use or long-term use.
Yeah, it's tremendous. There's something like 400,000 deaths a year just in the hospitalized patient population in this country directly due to adverse reactions to prescribed drugs. And these are not mistakes. These are the right drugs given to the right patients for the right conditions, and 400,000 people die each year. The deaths that are caused by botanicals, are a handful and usually result from mislabeling of something. And yet the press, both the medical press and popular press, are filled with articles about the dangers of herbal medicine. The general message out there is that herbal medicine is dangerous because it's unregulated, whereas the products of pharmaceutical laboratories are safe, and it's just the other way around.
Yeah, boy.
And with cannabis, cannabis is probably one of the safest of all therapeutic agents. You can't establish a lethal dose for it. It has an enormous safety range that's unmatched by really anything that we use in pharmaceutical medicine.
Well, that is true. And one of the things that my personal physician made it a point to prescribe to me for one of my ailments was medical marijuana. He was in his 70s, and I was in Indiana, and he made it clear he could lose his license by doing so. Now, how does the medical community review medical marijuana now coast to coast? Are you still considered one of those on the fringe medical doctors who's reaching out for alternative ways to heal the body, or are they starting to recognize the many medicinal values in this plant and are starting to rally around it?
I think it's slow to come within the medical profession. I think this has been a patient-driven, consumer-driven movement. There's a need for much more education. Also, there's a problem in that from the point of view of medical doctors, medical cannabis use is not cleanly distinguished from recreational use, and that makes them uncomfortable. And I think for medical use, we need to have preparations that look like medical drugs. So, for example, this product that's sold in the UK and many other countries called Sativex, that's a whole cannabis extract that you spray under the tongue. And I've seen some products like this sold in dispensaries in Colorado, for example. This looks more like a medical preparation that doctors would be more comfortable using. Most doctors are not going to feel comfortable recommending that patients smoke something as a therapeutic agent.
Well, yeah, we can get on that, and of course, smoking is a sort of a red herring now. We have vaporization and topicals and edibles, sprays, and chewing gum. I mean, it's gone beyond the government's rhetoric, Doctor. But at the same time, we've also learned, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, about the CBD-rich cannabis. Which may mean that we could have a THC-depleted cannabis, which would be less active. That seems attractive.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting. I would say also that clearly our society is on a path toward totally revisioning the cannabis plant and embracing it. I think we are moving toward total acceptance of it. I think it will be eventually legalized everywhere, both for recreational use and medical use. I hope we will begin also producing hemp fiber. I mean, we let all that production slip away to China. For hemp food products, we let all that production slip away to Canada. This is a plant that we should be embracing and cultivating for its many uses.
Well, that's a key word. Every time I talk to the federal guys, they keep saying marijuana the drug. And I keep saying cannabis the plant. It's a plant. It's not a drug.
It's a plant. And it's a highly useful plant, probably one of the most useful of any plants. It's one that's been grown in many cultures for different purposes. And as I say, our cultural prejudice against it in recent times has really limited our ability to enjoy its benefits. And I think we're now seeing that change. So I'm quite confident that we're moving toward total acceptance of it and legalization of it.
What opened your eyes to this, Dr. Weil? I mean, so much propaganda against it. Being a physician, you actually probably put your license on the line by even opening your mouth about it way back when, and you were very brave even 20 years ago to address it in your books.
Well, it's more than that. I, as a fourth-year medical student at Harvard Medical School in 1968, I did the first double-blind human experiments with marijuana. That was published in Science magazine. So I'd say it's almost 45 years that I've been writing and saying what I believe are truthful things about cannabis. So
what
I have
led
a
you
long
to that?
history of doing that.
What led you to that? What made you come to this plant first to begin to study it and then realize its value?
Well, I had been, I was studying ethnobotany at Harvard, which is the study of plants as used by native cultures and medicinal plants. And here was a plant that had tremendous uses in medicine of the past and also as a psychoactive plant. And I had tried it myself and found it very interesting. I knew many people were using it. This was in the mid-1960s. And it was just astonishing to me that so little was reliably known about it scientifically. So I wanted to study it and see what I could find out about it.
And you had college students, didn't you, come in and you could observe them while they used it and then did measurements?
Yeah, we did, very simple psychomotor tests. One of the things that we showed, there was a widespread belief back then that marijuana dilated your pupils. We showed that it didn't. There was a widespread belief that it made you hungry because it affected blood sugar. We showed that it had no effect on blood sugar. Very simple stuff. But it didn't. And I think most importantly, we showed that you could study marijuana in a laboratory in human beings and get away with it. And there had been no human research with it. So that was a real precedent to show that this was something you could in fact study.
What's been the most surprising fact about this plant to you?
Well, I think the discovery of the endocannabinoid system, the fact that we have receptors for these analogous compounds throughout our body, that they seem very key in regulating appetite and pleasure and immune function and are part of our defenses against cancer, and the possibility that, manipulating the system may offer many medical possibilities. I'd say the most exciting frontier is looking at the possibility that cannabinoids may help prevent and treat many forms of cancer.
And nutritionally, doctor?
Well, I think, cannabis is the source of an edible seed and an edible oil. That oil has a very healthy fatty acid profile. It's got, a fraction of omega-3 fatty acids that we need in our diets. The seed has a lot of fiber. You can make good foods out of hemp. I think hemp milk is very good. I much prefer it to rice milk. It's an alternative to soy milk. I think hemp seeds themselves are quite delicious if they're just dry toasted and flavored with something. So, these are good, nutritious foods.
Doctor, I know we're getting close to, you've got to run off on us pretty quick here. I was wondering if you want to give out some information about your, maybe a URL or something about the center where people
Sure.
might...
My website is drweil.com. That's drweil.com. There's a wealth of information there about medical conditions, alternative treatments, integrative medicine, and about medical cannabis. And also, if you're interested in integrative medicine, the website of the Arizona Center for Integrative Medicine is azcim.org. And there's a lot of information there about our clinic, our training programs, conferences, and so forth.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being part of our big broadcast, and it has been quite an honor to have you on the show. I look forward to having you back on our program.
Great. I enjoyed it, and you're doing good work.
Thank you very much for coming today.
Okay, bye, Mary Lynn. Bye, Al.
And
Take care, Eddie.
after this commercial break, we're going to come back with Mary Lynn and Al here on Time for Hemp. You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. The only broadcasting network dedicated to ending the global war on drugs on iHeartRadio. Please share us with your friends.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org.
At Crop King Seeds, we sell the finest marijuana seeds in the world. Grown organically with original genetics, every seed is cultivated for large yields, high THC content, and measured for both CBD and CBN levels. Did we mention we sell more than 20 of the world's best marijuana strains in feminized, auto-flowering, medical, and regular varieties, including White Widow, Blueberry, Purple Kush, Haze Extreme, and so many more. Through our website and friendly call support team, our seeds are available for direct order with speedy worldwide shipping. Crop King Seeds are also sold in over 100 locations worldwide.
Excuse me, I'm looking to buy some Crop King seeds.
Look no further, my friend.
Wow, they're here and in so many strains.
Buy your seeds now, in-store or online at CropKingSeeds.com. Or call us toll-free at 1-844-CROP-KING. That's 1-844-276-7546.
Sometimes you just need to take time to watch the grass grow. That's why the Time for Hemp Broadcasting Network is growing multiple cannabis gardens for you to enjoy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, streaming live in high definition. Watch our gardens to learn how to grow yours. Visit timeforhemp.com right now. The Time for Hemp Broadcasting Network, where we don't just talk about growing cannabis, we do it.
Yeah, you sure? Papa run track, yeah. That's your passing through. Go so now. One split a day, good music off the play. Take a dip in at the baby, keep the bad things away. That's what me doctor say. So don't worry, me have to stay. Hey, me have to follow me out, John. One split a day, good music off the play. Take a dip in at the baby, keep the bad things away. That's what me doctor say. So don't worry, me have to stay. Hey, me want feel the breeze again. I wanna find peace again. Yeah, that is struggle. The stronger your people, yeah. The God Peter Africa. In the island culture, yeah. Make me can't believe how far them shipped your warrior away. All of me Nubian brethren, they from Tivoli, Garden and Grand Spain. Wanna make me proud to be an African and feel say me home again, yeah. And a dip in the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me have to stay. Yeah, one split a day, good music have to play. And a dip in the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me have to stay. Sudan a bleed again, me people them a grieve again. Denmark a freeze up. Mama beg me not to leave again. Me love the place where me born and lifestyle. Now me roots them a tear me apart. I'm traveling far to follow my longing heart. Can't believe me destiny. I know me soul all divided in a tree. But right I know I got me find me melody. Me melody cause I want split a day. Good music I be play and a dip in the bay. We keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me have to stay. Yeah, one split a day. Good music I be play and a dip in the bay. We keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me have to stay. One split a day. One split a day. One split a day. I thought full up on me play. One split a day. In the shade. One split a day. I don't know. I feel the breeze again. I wanna find peace again. Yeah, that is struggle. The stronger your people, yeah. You got Peter Africa. In the island culture, yeah. Make me can't believe how far them shipped your warrior. One split a day, good music I be play. And a dip in the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me have to stay. Yeah, one split a day, good music I be play. And a dip in the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me have to stay. One split a day, good music I be play. And a dip in the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me have to stay. Here I go. Yeah. One split a day, good music I be play. And a dip in the bay, we keep the bad things away. So me doctor say, so don't worry, me have to stay.
How would you like to have all the best cannabis info all in one place? Canafo.com is the Google, Facebook, and Craigslist of cannabis. It even has its own social media platform. Canafo.com puts the world of medicinal and recreational cannabis in one place for consumers, businesses, and growers. Canafo.com is a free service where you can find over 9,000 different strains of cannabis, shop cannabis classifieds, and much more. Canafo.com is the world's most comprehensive source for all things cannabis. Get in the know with Canafo.
Well, the western had a bow, good green reefer, big fat don't be much sweeter. Mighty don't hide it. Mighty don't hide it. Just mighty don't hide it. Mighty don't hide it. Well, mighty don't hide it. Fire up right now.
Yeah, baby. Fire up right now. I want to thank you for tuning in today and being part of our big broadcast. It was amazing to have Dr. Andrew Weil on our show. We have Dr. Donald Abrams joining us in this break. And now that we've ended that break, and I want to thank everybody here from Patients at a Time for putting together a spectacular program. I'm going to pass this program back over to Mary Lynn and Al for their joint discussion with Dr. Donald Abrams while I sit here and hush my mouth and learn here on Time for Hemp.
Well, today we're really glad to have Donald Abrams here, and he actually is, he comes from San Francisco area, but he's actually down in Tucson now teaching at the Integrative School of Medicine there. He's on their faculty, a graduate of Integrative Medicine and an oncologist. And I guess, Donald, what'd you say? You were just finishing lecturing this morning?
Yeah, this is the graduation week for the fellows who have done a 2-year online program in integrative medicine from Dr. Weil's program at the University of Arizona, and they have me for the last 4 or 5 years. I've been coming to lecture on marijuana, is it medicine yet? And this year when I was introduced, Tiarona Lodog said it's particularly relevant this year with all of the changes we're seeing across the country with the number of states that have cannabis available for medical purposes, as well as Colorado and Washington now totally legalizing altogether.
Yeah, it's about time. Everybody's got to start paying attention to it now, and hopefully physicians will when patients come in and start asking them questions about it.
So what was your answer?
Yeah.
What was my answer?
Yeah.
No, I spoke for an hour and a half about cannabis as medicine, and I'm still struck by how much misinformation physicians have. And it's not as much misinformation as total lack of information. I mean, we just don't learn about cannabis in routine medical education, either in medical school or in continuing medical education conferences that much. Certainly Patients Out of Time promotes it in our continuing medical education conferences that we do with UCSF. But in general, I mean, the fact that the cannabinoid receptor in the brain is the second most densely populated receptor in the human brain, and that we don't learn about it in medical school because of, cannabis paranoia and the war on drugs is I think, reprehensible.
Well,
boy, we agree.
We all agree with that. I know Dr. Weil agrees with that. I've heard him say in public at the conference in Tucson we had a couple of years ago that he thought that it was an abdication of medical responsibility to pass this kind of stuff off to cops and lawyers.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to say. I mean, where is the medical profession on this? I mean, I know you're there, and Dr. Weil was just saying to us that I think he says now he's graduated 1,000 physicians from his courses, and that's an impressive number, but aren't there something well over 1 million of you or something?
I don't even know. But, the American Medical Association is at least saying the word and says essentially more research is necessary. What they don't appreciate is the difficulty of doing research of medicinal cannabis. It's not an easy thing to do for those of us that have been doing it.
I would even think, though, Doctor, that, medical cannabis being what it is, we all find it fascinating and fascinated, and nobody is fascinated along with us. But what about the endocannabinoid system? I just can't understand why every physician in the world isn't going, wow.
Well, again, because they're not aware of it. So that's what we need to do, is increase the awareness of, to physicians and patients about the existence of the endocannabinoid system and the cannabinoid receptors in the body. They're there for a reason, and a lot of that reason has to do, in my opinion, with pain. These are very potent drugs in our armamentarium against pain, and so many people suffer from chronic pain disorders that it's just a shame that physicians and patients themselves aren't aware of the potential utility of cannabis.
Yeah, and I think, I'd like you to speak to the issue of, I talk a lot about when physicians make recommendations that the hope would be that you start with the least harmful medication, and if that doesn't work, you go to stronger and stronger medications. And unfortunately, for, like you say, a lot of people, and especially with neuropathic pain, things aren't working, and it just seems then they start, okay, well, let's look at some opioids and keep going stronger and stronger.
Right. That is a shame because, the evidence suggests that the opiates are not particularly effective in neuropathic pain, and so many people have neuropathic pain for long periods of time. Diabetics, patients with HIV, people, my patients with cancer, we can now cure people from cancer, but they suffer from persistent neuropathic pain. And a number of clinical trials have demonstrated that cannabis is useful in this situation. And in fact, the trials are very consistent in the so-called number needed to treat. That is, how many people do you need to expose to cannabis to get a response? And the number needed to treat for peripheral neuropathy is about 3.5, which means that 1 in 3 people or 1 in 4 people are going to get success from using cannabis to treat neuropathic pain, which is a big problem. And it's a much safer drug, as you mentioned, than opiates, which are totally addictive, and actually, because of the preponderance of opiate receptors on the brainstem, much easier to overdose and die on than cannabis.
Are you able to do that, Donald, in California in your practice? Are you able to, if you got a brand new patient, hadn't been on anything at all, are you able to say to him or her, let's go with cannabis first?
Well, I treat mainly cancer patients, and I can certainly, in California, make a recommendation that a cancer patient consider using cannabis for many things. I mean, a day doesn't go by when I don't see a cancer patient who's suffering from loss of appetite, nausea and vomiting from either their cancer or their chemotherapy, pain, depression, insomnia. And for these people, I can recommend that they try one medicine instead of writing them prescriptions for 5 different drugs that all might interact with each other or with the chemotherapy I'm giving them. I can say, why don't you try cannabis? And, patients that do seem to benefit in my experience. I haven't been studying that in any systematic way, but, I see a lot of people who don't like the side effects of their anti-nausea medicines. Many people get constipated and just don't feel right, and they, more and more people come in and say, well, I stopped it because cannabis works great.
Yeah, boy.
Now, Andy Weil was just saying that one of the reasons he believes that modern medicine doctors, even of your age and peer group, won't accept cannabis as a medical agent is because it doesn't look like a medical agent that they used to.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're used to people swallowing a pill. And they did make, as you know, they make delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, delta-9 THC, the most psychoactive component of cannabis, is available as a pill, in a pill form, delta-9 THC and sesame oil. So that's what doctors are comfortable with. But, cannabis itself, the plant, has 400 other chemicals in it that are there to provide the balance to the delta-9 THC, the main psychoactive component. So some of them boost the benefits of the THC, and some of them downplay some of the adverse effects. So
I mean, can I clear something up here, Donald? I mean, we've known each other a long time, and I don't know the answer to this, and I keep getting beat up by it every once in a while. I keep running into the argument that the reason we don't have a cannabis plant, whole extract pill, or something of that nature is because the FDA hasn't gone through the approval process for cannabis. But then I look around and I say, wait a minute, it's a plant. FDA doesning have to approve eating vegetables. It's not their job. And on the other hand, back in 1930-something, bottles of cannabis medicine made by Eli Lilly and Merck and everybody else, and it says approved by the Food and Drug Act of 1930, whatever. What's going on? What's this FDA thing? We don't need that, do we?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you missed a few steps there. Yeah, so in 1937, the Marijuana Tax Act imposed a levy of $1 an ounce for medicinal use and $100 an ounce for recreational use for people that were using cannabis as medicine or recreationally. And this was imposed by Harry Anslinger, who was a prohibitionist and a racist, who was concerned that widespread use of cannabis by African-American jazz musicians and Mexican migrant workers was going to lead to increased crime and mental illness in the United States, both of which were pure hysteria. But this led to the removal of cannabis from the U.S. pharmacopoeia, or the formulary of available drugs, in 1942. Cannabis has probably been used as a medicine for 3,000 years. It hasn't been a medicine in this country only for 72 years. In 1970, it got put in Schedule I, which means that it's a substance that has no accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. And Schedule I substances are only prescribable with a special license from the government that you have to apply for. So the FDA definitely, and the Drug Enforcement Administration, need to be involved in any studies of cannabis. The only legal source of cannabis to do research on in the country is NIDA, the National Institute on Drug Abuse. And NIDA has a mandate from Congress that they can only fund studies that are looking at the adverse effects of cannabis and not as the therapeutic benefits. So unfortunately, your thoughts are well-founded, but a little bit naive, I fear to say. Because anytime you're trying to develop something as a potential therapeutic agent in a clinical trial, the FDA does need to be involved.
What about Centrum Silver? That never went through the FDA, and we got people all over America swallowing thousands of those pills.
So these are nutritional supplements, and the DSHEA Act introduced in Congress protects nutritional supplements, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your perspective, from being evaluated and approved by the FDA.
So
many people think that we'd have much higher quality supplements if there was some sort of regulatory body that was looking to see what's in the supplements that people take.
Yeah, but there isn't. So if I eat cannabis as food, what's the problem? What's the government's problem with that?
The plant is illegal.
The plant is illegal, but I mean,
right.
Yeah, I mean, this. I guess what I'm saying is, Doctor, I mean, this whole premise that the government has built its case on is faulty, and if the premise of any mathematical computation is wrong, the end result's wrong. We've got something here that has no medical value. The world knows that's BS. I mean, it's with all that being such contrary to logic and rationale and actual science, what's holding back our medical professionals in government from accepting the leadership of the head of the Veterans Health Administration, who is an MD, who's declared cannabis as a medicine?
I missed that. Who's that?
His name is Dr. Petzl. Petzl. Dr. Petzl, in 2010, actually, July 2010, wrote a directive, which has been amended now. It's January of 2011, but it says the same thing. It says that veterans who live in states or the District of Columbia where the citizens or the legislature have made cannabis medicine available can use, with the proper state paperwork, cannabis in their medical therapeutic program and be treated in Veterans Health Administration hospitals and facilities just like any other patient. He said that it is medicine, that it should be treated as a medicine, and it shall be not a problem. However, just for detail, it is a problem. The fact that there's only 21 states means that there's 29 states where veterans cannot use cannabis as a medicine and be treated in the Veterans Health Administration facilities. That includes me. When I live in Florida and Virginia, if I go in and say I use medicine, cannabis as a medicine, they escort me off the grounds and tell me to come back in 30 days when I'm clean. But the point is, Dr. Petzl, I believe that there should be a monument to this fellow. He's a medical doctor who stands for medicine and the treatment of veterans. And the other thing I liked about him, when he sent me and Mike Kravitz a letter, every time veterans, the word veteran was used in his letter, he capitalized it. We need more doctors like that.
Yeah, I think what we liked about that was he's stuck. The VA docs are federal employees, so that's why it had to be the legal states where a legal doc does. But as Al said, the VA doctors are to treat cannabis as medicine if they have a recommendation from a civilian doctor. But the other problem they get is because it's federal property, the patients can't bring that medicine. Then if they go in the hospital, they can't have it in the hospital with them.
So exactly. That's my understanding of our Veterans Administration Hospital in California. Although I've lectured there on the topic, my understanding is that it's still pretty taboo because it's a federal property.
That's right, exactly. Right. So we've got this, this conundrum. Really, it's a conundrum for the government, I believe. I don't believe that folks like you, medical professionals that have been working with cannabis for all these years, have a doubt in your mind that it has therapeutic value. And I think there's millions of patients that agree with you. And And I guess what I'm trying to do, and Patients at a Time is trying to do, is just call people's attention to the illogic and see if we can't get somebody in government to say, this is just flat wrong. Maybe the president, somebody that could, like the president, who could just say,
Al, it sounds like you took a naive pill today. I don't want to say anything,
No, it's not a naive pill. I see the President of the United States wearing another hat, a hat that I had sworn allegiance to. The same one. He's the Commander-in-Chief.
Right.
Commander-in-Chief. And he has troops in the field that are being treated right, and he has troops in the field that aren't being treated right. That's flat out the way it is. That's not naive. That's the way it is. And he is the commanding general of our forces, and he could change that with an order.
Yeah, it's just, sad part is,
that is what I call leadership. That is what Dr. Petzel did. He issued an order, and it changed things. That can be done in this country by people that actually have some huevos on them. And our president, as a commander-in-chief, should be as strong a man as you are and do what's right.
Well, I've got to do what's right, and I'm going to place an order right now that we go to commercial break, and I'm going to order all my audience members to tell all of my sponsors that you heard about them here on Time for Hemp.
Well, now, chocolate cake makes my poor stomach ache, and all those pills are too much for me to take. I don't like cocaine cause it makes me all uptight, but coffee and reefer makes me feel alright. Crystal meth will make you high.
You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. The only broadcasting network dedicated to ending the global war on drugs on iHeartRadio.
Indigrow is your source for affordable induction grow lighting. First discovered in 1891 by Nikola Tesla, Indigrow lights deliver 11 years of electronic sunlight to your plants. Indigrow lamps require less than half the power of traditional HID lamps. Converting to Indigrow lights means you'll cut down on your power bill with less lighting. Indigrow lamps also use 5 times less mercury than traditional fluorescent or HID lamps, making Indigrow not only energy efficient but environmentally friendly as well. No more switching out lamps between vegetative and flowering stages. As nature intended, your lights get a steady dose of UV light. That makes your plants grow healthier and stronger. Indigrow products are manufactured in San Diego, California, and come with a written 10-year warranty. What Tesla knew, then growers know now, is that Indigrow lighting is the cost-effective addition to your victory garden. To learn more or order now, go to inda-grow.com. That's INDA-GRO.com. Or call 877-452-2244 to answer any of your questions. These guys really know lights. Indigrow really is your sunlight in a box.
Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Have you visited TimeForHemp.com? we're doing something special you'll love to see. We're presenting a live stream of multiple cannabis gardens around the clock in high definition. Come see it now. Lots of people talk about growing cannabis. We do it. Join our growing audience to get inspired by our crops to learn how to cultivate yours. Because at Time for Hemp, we plant seeds of wisdom so we can harvest buds of truth.
At Crop King Seeds, we sell the finest marijuana seeds in the world, including White Widow, Blueberry, Purple Kush, Haze Extreme, and so many more. Our seeds are available for direct order with speedy shipping. Crop King Seeds are also sold in over 100 locations worldwide.
Excuse me, I'm looking to buy some Crop King seeds.
Look no further, my friend.
Wow, they're here and in so many strains.
Buy your seeds now, in-store or online at cropkingseeds.com.
Listen, legalize your seed. Legalize it, legalize it. Tell me, legalize it, legalize it, legalize it. Tell me, legalize it, legalize it, legalize it. Tell me, legalize it. I want to the Monday. Manda il fumo denaro perché sono un castamagno. Manda il fumo denaro pure con la canasta al bar. Lo champagne e la pelliccia da stracanna. Chi mi chiede come si fa dico che basta ma ed io amo fare il premier. Mi casa come terrier. Quando ero bambino vestivo come manichino dell'atelier. Avevo le burrago, Betty Studio e Chauffeur. 8 babysitter con auricolari e taglier. E dalla scuola elementare furbetto e lesto. Trafficavo sotto banco, quello e questo. Una volta condannato ricorrevo in appello. Poi venivo protetto dal mio gran maestro. Divenuto adolescente, la prima intuizione. Ogni capo deve avere un capo di imputazione. Sono un presidente in erba ma me ne fatto della Maria. Perché io lotto ma per la mia legalizzazione. Legalize the pratico lo sport e non mi fermo mai man. Gare offshore alle isole Cayman. Scalo le SPA, non il Mont Blanc. Che salgo di livello come un Super Saiyan. Mi atteggio da messia ma non mi fido di Pietro. Io mi fido solo di chi dice firmo il decreto. Ma se vengo ben indagato di pedini a cureto, rimangio tutto come un ruminante nel carrubetto. Così ricco che i miei soldi io li do alle fiamme. Li do alle fiamme, le fiamme gialle. Invece di arrestarmi saltano alle spalle di chi ho la bionda giorna come Bob e Malle. Chi mi accusa di tangente diventa secante. Chi doveva stare zitto diventa squillante. Ma vado dal mio medico curante che mi prescrive più di un antimicotico per il grande. Legalize the Campino, me bigger than the Pope and redder than the guy out Italy, me have a deep. The hypest prime minister, I buy that. Some people call me Dan, some call me I'm the little politician, I'm the real. Me am the biggest food plus biscotti. And the youngest set a girl, them call me after me no finish yet. Me want a TV station, so me want a football team, so me and if me break the law, me nobody can say nothing to Bumbuckler. I'm uplifted and so charming and me belly fat. I'm me link up with the cream of America. So me buy left and right, so me account never try. So me buy, then me buy. Legalize the legalize the ora che sei castaman, hai castamanti, hai qualche minorenne nei tuoi tanti parti. Mai sposarti, ma fai taglia i nastri delle intercettazioni per i grandi appalti. E se capita che un giorno starai male, vedrai, lecca culo al tuo capezzale. Darai una buona parola per farti entrare nel tuo paradiso
it would behoove me to hush my mouth and let genius speak. So I will let our joint guest have the floor. And Mary Lynn and Al, I want to thank you for bringing such wonderful guests to our big broadcast today.
Well, thank you for giving us the opportunity to do all this. It's I hope our listeners learn from every show, because we talk to all kinds of people on Mondays like this. We talk to cannabis experts because we are a patient-driven organization. We believe that the patient's stories need to be heard, that they're telling the truth. There are millions of them, and Dr. Abrams has treated any number of patients. And Doctor, I know our listeners are wanting to know as much as they can, because everybody in the world wants to know as much as they can about the combination or the connection between cannabis and cancer. Can you connect some dots there?
Okay, good. Well, I think that there's increasing evidence that some of the compounds in cannabis may have activity actually against cancer. Cannabis in and of itself is anti-inflammatory, or decreases inflammation. It's also an antioxidant, taking out of circulation free radicals of oxygen, which can also lead to DNA damage that causes cancer. So those are two mechanisms by which cannabis may decrease a risk of cancer. And then as scientists look in more detail, there are other biochemical interactions that the active ingredients in cannabis have with cancer cells and with cells in general that seem to suggest that they may increase programmed cell death, something that disappears, if you will, in cancer cells. They may decrease the formation of new blood vessels, which allow cancer cells to spread through the body, and they may also decrease some of the enzymes that allow cancer cells to be invasive. So all of this is really exciting information, but it's mostly demonstrated in test tubes and increasingly in some animal models. Evidence that cannabis really protects or prevents against cancer in humans is a little harder to come by, because after all, the gold standard of these sorts of experiments are randomized, placebo-controlled clinical trials, and nobody's going to randomize 50,000 people over here to smoke cannabis and 50,000 people over there not to smoke cannabis for the next 20 years and see what happens with cancer. Yeah. I think one of the more interesting findings, my friend and colleague Manuel Guzman, who's in Madrid, is a PhD, and he had a laboratory that was interested in studying the effects of cannabinoids on metabolism of cells. The most highly metabolic cells in the body are the brain cells. So his team of investigators made cultures of human brain cells and added cannabis to see what the effect was on their energy metabolism. And they decided, well, maybe we could do more research quicker if we use brain cancer cells or brain tumors, because they're metabolizing even quicker. So they took a culture of brain cancer cells, glioblastoma, and they put their cannabis on the cells, and they died. So they said, oh, we must have done something wrong. So they repeated the experiment, and those cells died again. So they went back to their normal brain cells that they've been using for years, and the cells lived. So this sort of suggested that cannabinoids may have activity against brain tumor cells, and makes a little bit of sense because the cannabinoid receptor is the second most densely populated receptor in the human brain. So adding, things that complex with that receptor may actually have some impact on brain tumors. So the research has extended beyond that by taking human cancers and transplanting them into mice that don't have an immune system. And in that setting, if you give those mice cannabinoids, the active ingredients in cannabis, a number of different cancers seem to be suppressed. Lung, thyroid, lymphoma, brain, skin. So, this is all very intriguing evidence, but as I mentioned, the evidence that cannabis works as an anti-cancer agent in humans is at this point lacking. And what we see instead are people extrapolating from information in the test tubes and jumping way ahead into saying that it has effects in humans. Let me give you a concrete example. One of my colleagues in San Francisco, Sean McAllister, has a group of triple-negative breast cancer cells that he grows in culture. Triple-negative breast cancer means it doesn't have receptors for estrogen, progesterone, or the HER2/neu, all of which can be attacked with specific hormones or antibodies. So triple-negative breast cancer is the most aggressive type. And he finds that triple-negative breast cancer has increased expression of a gene called ID1. And when he adds CBD or cannabidiol to cultures of these triple-negative breast cancer cells, that downregulates or decreases the production of the ID1 product. So when that paper got published in the newspapers, the report said cannabis cures triple-negative breast cancer. Well, that's a big leap. Cannabis in a cell culture decreased production of a gene product that's present in triple-negative breast cancer, but we haven't done any experiments where we've given women with triple-negative breast cancer CBD to say that it can cure them. So that's what I mean by a big leap from the test tube information into, human experience. And we need to do those studies, certainly, but I think evidence or suggestions that cannabis cures cancer are premature at this time.
Okay. Donald, thank you so much for this. Before we have to go here, could you tell us about Clint Werner's book? There's a lot of great information in there for folks.
Yeah, so Clint Werner, who is my spouse, wrote a book called Marijuana Gateway to Health, How Cannabis Protects Us Against Cancer and Alzheimer's. And he's working on a second edition where he may change the title, How Cannabis Protects Us Against Cancer, Alzheimer's, and Diabetes, because there is some increasing evidence that cannabis may decrease the risk of diabetes. It's a great book, and it talks all about the endocannabinoid system and cannabinoid receptors, as we were discussing earlier. Right. It's very easily accessible to the lay reader and has changed a lot of people's minds about the medicinal benefits of cannabis.
It sure has. Dr. Abrams, thank you so much for coming on the show, sir. Thank you for your time and your expertise.
It's a pleasure. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Quite a fantastic program, I can certainly tell you that. And Dr. Abrams, I want to thank you, too, for being on our show.
Okay, my pleasure. It seemed that the last half sort of went very quickly there.
It did, and people always say that when they're on the show because we do enjoy getting so much information out to our audience, and there really isn't as much time as we would like. And did you get a chance to give a shout-out to your URL one more time?
We got the book out. That was the main focus we wanted, Casper.
Make sure people know how to buy it and get it. And
Marijuana Gateway to Health, it's on Amazon.
Beautiful. All right. And tomorrow's Canadian Day, so let all your friends know that we're going to be putting a spotlight on the hardworking Canadian activists here on Time for Hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spend. Take another look and spend some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yes, it's time for him. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 bales of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rent. Well, time for help! Yeah!
Education and information. See what all the buzz is all about. It's time for hemp. It's time for hemp.